Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our virtual field trips with the Alabama Farmers Federation. I'm Mary Wilson. Very excited to have you with us today. Um, Also, just one note about today's virtual field trip. Mother Nature does not always agree with farmers. So today there is rain moving across the state of Alabama. We're going to be in Talladega County for the virtual field trip, and the rain is just starting there. So bear with us as we kind of move between different things to, make sure that our farmer doesn't get caught out in a gully washer. But one thing that we would love for you guys to do is comment with where you're from. It's kind of our little roll call that we do at the beginning of these things. Let us know the city and the state that you're watching from, because we love to share that with our farmers. We love to see all the different Alabama cities represented, all the different states. And we've even seen a couple of different countries come up when people have commented. So feel free to do that, even if you're not watching this live. If you're watching it later in the day, give us a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. And today we're going to be talking about trees. Now, when you hear about trees and farming, probably a lot of you guys think about Christmas trees or you think about pine trees. And that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about ornamental trees. So those are the kinds that make your yard really pretty, the kinds that you might see at the end of a construction project in the parking lot medians where they have all those really pretty trees. Um, and maybe it's something that you haven't thought of a whole lot before, that those have to start on farms. I know I'm excited about today's because I feel like I'm going to learn a whole lot in this virtual field trip. So if you have any questions for our tree farmer, then go ahead and post those in the comments. We'll get to those a little bit later. But I'm going to introduce you to our farmer now. It is Phillip Hunter, and he is with Hunter Trees in Talladega County. So Phillip, just tell us a little bit about your nursery. Oh, well, first of all, everybody say hi to Phillip. Hi, Phillip. Thank you for being here with us. And go ahead and tell us about your tree nursery.
Hey everyone, welcome to Hunter Trees in Talladega County. It's a little rainy here today, but we're gonna do the best we can and try to show y'all everything we can about our operation. We're right outside of Birmingham, about 30 miles southeast of Birmingham in Talladega County. We have a 300-acre tree farm, so we grow landscaping trees, and we sell landscaping trees all over the southeast to we're a wholesaler, so that means we grow trees and we sell them to landscape contractors. We don't sell directly retail or to the public, but we're a business to business operation. So we're on 300 acres. We've been here about 20 years. My brother Will and I started this farm. I've got Matt Kemp running the camera for me this morning, and he's one of our salesmen, and Tim Braswell is another one of our salesmen. So this is a family operation, and we come to work out here every day in this beautiful area and work on growing trees. So what we do, and this is a different kind of agriculture maybe from what you're used to seeing. We don't grow food, but we buy trees from all over the country, from as far away as Texas and Oregon. We contract with a lot of different other nurseries, and we buy little trees, maybe that are just a foot tall, maybe up to 6 to 7 feet tall, and we plant those trees out in the fields. We're going to try to show you some shots of the fields, and we grow those up to a size that really what we call is instant gratification. And those trees go to jobs like with residential, like at your home. You might plant them out in your front yard or around your house, or commercial, like the shopping centers or commercial buildings. When they build those new buildings or remodel them, they call us and they use our trees on those kind of projects. So we sell big trees, finished trees. There's all kinds of different nurseries that sell all kinds of different plant material, all kinds of different sizes. Each of us have our own different specialties, but this is what we do. And Mary, it looks like we have a break in the rain. So before we're going to try to jump out of the truck and show y'all a little bit about production for just a brief moment. Mary, can you show that video to them that shows kind of an overall shot of the farm, and I can talk about it a little bit as when you get it running, if you can let me know.
Yeah, give me just 1 second because I I did something wrong here. So, yeah, that's just
Okay.
kind of how life goes with the when you're trying to do live stuff. So, all right, I've got that video queued up now. So, yeah, we'll get that playing, and you guys can hop on out of the truck, and we'll let them see what it looks like, um, what the whole farm looks like.
Okay. We're gonna hop out real quick. Yeah. Hey, Mary, if you can hear me all right with that video running, what we're showing y'all is an overall shot of the farm to kind of give you an idea of the scale of the operation. And you ought to be able to see in that video little trees and big trees. So we got all kinds of different stages of growth. And that's what we wanted to show you with that video. And if you'll let me know when it stops, Mary, then we can talk a little bit about trees out here in the field.
All right, it stopped. So we're back to you, Phillip.
Okay, I want to show you a little bit to give you a sense of scale. These are Liberty Hollies. These are about 6 feet tall, and these are hollies that we may have planted when they were tiny in a 1 gallon, just about 6 or 8 inches tall. This plant's about 3 years old, so it takes us a while when we put trees in the ground. It takes a while to get them up to a sellable size. Now this is the size that we'll start selling. Come on, Matt, walk with me. We're going to show you a little bit more. Mary, you let us know if we start to lose our signal or something. Matt, show them those trees down there. If y'all can see the Nuttall oaks in the background, those they may look tiny in this photo, but those are about 20 feet tall, and those trees are about 4 or 5 years old. And those are trees that we planted as a 1 gallon. So they had been about maybe this tall, just about chest height, and we planted them real thin, small trunk, maybe about as big as your finger. And now they've got trunks on them about, I don't know, say 4 or 5 inches. And we call it caliper, but that's actually the diameter of the tree. And that's the kind of trees we grow and sell. I want to show you something else too. Matt, if you can come here and show them. This is drip tubing. So we have our nursery is 100% irrigated, and we irrigate out of wells, and we run those wells in these fields. And this drip tubing, can you see this emitter, Matt? That emitter is a drip emitter. That's only putting out 0.6 gallons of water per hour. So this whole field behind me, if Matt can kind of show it to you, it's all irrigated. This irrigation actually was running last night, so we can irrigate a lot of acreage and really at one time with a small amount of water. So this field is about 5 acres in size. It uses about 50 gallons a minute of water. And the neat thing about this is we can run our fertilizer through our irrigation system. So we use a liquid fertilizer. We got some wells that are close by, and we pump that fertilizer into our irrigation water, so we can do 2 things at one time. We can irrigate and we can fertilize at the same time. Not all nurseries use irrigation. Will and I, my brother Will, we like to say that we wouldn't be in the business if we couldn't use irrigation. What we're doing with that water, with that irrigation water and that fertilizer, is we're able to manipulate, add water when we need it, fertilizer when we need it. And you can see even on this holly right here, this kind of lighter green growth. You look inside of it, you can see some darker leaves. This is what we call spring growth. This is new growth, and this tree is taking up fertilizer, taking up water, and it's growing good. You notice how tight this plant looks, how tightly sheared it is? Well, before they started growing this spring, we went in and our guys come out here in the field and they shear these with hand shears, prune them to keep them tight and keep them full. And we'll do that with all kinds of different varieties of trees. A little bit about our nursery. I told you it's 300 acres. We grow almost 100 different varieties of trees out here. So a landscape contractor can come to us and say, I need these 4 or 5 different varieties of trees for a job, and we can supply that whole job. So if you think back about that video you just looked at a minute ago that showed the whole farm, then you'll be able to see that there's all kinds of different trees out there, and there's a lot of them. We probably have over 80,000 trees in the ground out here. And you may be wondering, but how do we get that tree out of the ground into a job site? And Mary, if you can pull up that video about tree spading, then it's starting to rain pretty good here again. So Matt and I are going to go get in the truck, and then we're going to talk about that video. So you let us know when you're ready to show that.
Absolutely. All right. I've got it pulled up, Phillip. So if you want me to play it through once while you guys are getting back into the truck, we can do that, and then I can play it again, and you could walk us through what's happening. All right.
That sounds good. Let's do that. We're going to go.
All right. Good deal. All right, so that was the video there of Phillip, of them digging a tree out there at Hunter Trees, and Phillip is going to rejoin us here in just a little bit. Actually, I think that we've had well, let's see, there you are again. Okay, good deal. I think so we had some issues with the cell service there for just a second, but it's back up. So Phillip, do you want to walk us through that video and me play it again for you?
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and cue it up and run it again. And what I want to tell y'all a little bit about that, if you got it running.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's a skid steer. That Bobcat, it's a skid steer. We run all our spades on those, and that yellow attachment on the front of that machine is called a tree spade. And what we'll do is when we select a tree to be dug, that operator and our digging crew will go out there. They'll wrap that spade around the tree. You see how it opens and closes. And then they'll put weight on that spade, and they'll drive those spades down into the ground with hydraulics. When they lift it up out of the ground, that's when we take what is really packaging. So that's wire baskets and burlap. They'll put that back in the same hole that it came out of, and they'll drop that tree back in that same hole. They'll go through they'll tie up the top of that burlap and strap the top of that basket, and then we'll have another crew come in behind them and pull that tree out of the ground. So one of the neat things about tree spades and trees is you got to have, we have all kinds of different sizes out here. So we have about 5 different size spades we use. And those, so you say, well, how do you know what size spade? Well, with our experience, we know that like a 3-inch diameter tree, a 3-inch caliper tree needs a 34-inch football. Trees, maybe up to 6-inch caliper, we would go to a 65-inch spade. Any ideas how much a 65-inch root ball weighs? Well, you know if you see any guesses, Mary, but I'll tell you, those root balls are heavier than they look. A small tree will weigh about 360 pounds. A big tree with a 6-inch caliper tree with a 65-inch ball will weigh 6,500 pounds. And Mary, I'd like to show them what we do with those trees. So we've got that tree dug. Now we got to get it out of the ground. We got to get it to our customer. So if we can show them some of those photos of our trucks, and maybe the one without a tarp on it, Mary. And what I want to show you is we pull those trees out and we load them on tractor trailers, and then or a smaller truck, and we ship those trees on trucks all across the country. So we ship a lot of trees right here in Birmingham. We ship trees all over Alabama into the surrounding states like Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi. We go as far out as Texas and Oklahoma. sometimes up into the Carolinas. So people like to ask us, how far can you ship a tree? And we tell them anywhere a truck can go, we can ship a tree. Now there are some constraints, regulations that prohibit us going into some states. Like we have to deal with pests like fire ants. So we're in a fire ant area. We treat our fields for fire ants. We try to protect our employees for fire ants. But there's some states that we can't ship into unless we treat that root ball with a pesticide. We have to follow regulations when we're doing that. But that's one of the challenges we have. That our trees are safe and clean, not only for our employees, but for our customers. So we don't want to be spreading any bad pests across our shipping area. We want to keep, if we got anything bad, we want to keep it here, and we want to control it here if we can. I mentioned our employees, and I want to talk to you just a little bit about that, because having good employees is the key to any successful farmer or business. It requires good employees to be successful. We've got about 30 employees here, and these are full-time employees. They're with us year-round. They're always busy. Different seasons of the year, we're doing different things. We're digging trees in the winter when they're dormant. It means they may not have leaves on them if they're a shade tree or a deciduous tree. If it's an evergreen tree, they won't lose their leaves, but they're still going to transplant better in the wintertime when it's dormant. Then in the summertime, it wasn't raining today. We can show you some things that are going on around the nursery, but our guys are working on, we talked about pruning trees earlier. They prune those trees. We mow a lot of grass. So we have 300 acres of grass. We may have visited some farms that are hay operations that may be able to cut their grass for hay, but with all our narrow rows between those trees, all we can do is mow it. So we do a lot of mowing in the summer, and when there's a lot of rain, and the grass is really going good, we might be running 2 mowers all day long for weeks at a time. So it's we're in a seasonal business, so we can only ship at certain times of the year, but we're always busy here at Hunter Trees. Mary, I'd love to show them some photos of some of the trees that we sell, some of the
Absolutely.
different varieties, some of the different sizes. And Mary has a few of those photos, and she can bring them up for you. And they've got different names on them. So we grow like different kinds of oaks. We grow different kinds of magnolias and hollies, all kinds of pretty shade trees, ornamental trees, trees that have flowers on them, trees that have good fall color. So lots of neat varieties out here. Cedar trees that look a lot like Christmas trees. Some of them can be used as Christmas trees. And so lots of different variety. And you can see from those photos that we're showing you how pretty those are.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got the conifers and the red maples, and the magnolias that they've seen. We're on the Foster's hollies right now, and then the Japanese cedars as well, and crepe myrtles too, which is a popular Alabama tree.
Absolutely. I'll tell you a little bit about our industry. So just here in the state of Alabama, there's only about maybe 3 or 4 or 5 tree farms like ours. Now there's lots of different nurseries. There's in Alabama. It's a really big part of our of agriculture in Alabama. Nurseries, like I told you earlier, can grow all kinds of different sizes and different varieties of plant material. We happen to be an outdoor nursery, a field-grown nursery. We do grow some trees in containers, but if you had the opportunity to visit nurseries in Alabama, you would see greenhouse growers that grow like annuals and perennials. You would see woody ornamental growers that grow trees in small containers like shrubs that you plant around the front of your house, and then they just get progressively bigger. So we've got a special niche in what we do. We focus on growing bigger, more finished trees that are ready to sell, ready to use right there in your yard. That's going to make an instant impact. And we grow a lot of different varieties. Some of those varieties our other fellow farmers don't grow. So it gives us the opportunity to sell some plants, trees that maybe you can't find anywhere else. And that's part of growing a lot of different varieties. Sometimes people ask us, how do you know what you need to sell? How do you know what you need to have ready? And we tell them we've got a crystal ball. We keep it hidden away, but that crystal ball is sometimes pretty cloudy. It's hard to predict sometimes what the market needs, what our customers need to plant. So that's why we keep a good mix. We try to be consistent in having a lot of different varieties to sell, and we try a lot of new varieties. There's part of our industry is called plant propagation, and people are looking for new varieties to sell, uh, new varieties to grow that may have something special about them that makes it attractive for you to use in your or for landscape architects or designers to specify to use on their jobs. Mary, have any
All right.
questions popped up?
So we
may be interested in what's going on.
Yeah, we do have a few questions that have come in. So now, Phillip, remind me. I think that this is true. You're a Mississippi State guy, right?
I sure am. I went to Mississippi State, grew up in Mississippi, grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, and went to Mississippi State and studied landscape contracting there.
Okay, so we have a comment. I actually spent some time at Mississippi State as well. So I just wanted to share this one that's kind of fun from Richard Scott. He's in Tuscaloosa now, but he's a Mississippi State grad. I can't claim to be a graduate. I was there for 1 year. So Western Kentucky is where I graduated from. But he said, good to see MSU folks doing big things. And I'm not sure that he even realized he was talking about you. But I just knew him from my time at Mississippi State. So if any of you guys have other questions about Phillip's nursery, please go ahead and put those in the comments because we'd love to answer them for you. We did have, I also wanted to say, I love that little thing that you said about the weight of the root ball. So I'm hoping we had folks paying attention. So if you have if you maybe didn't hear the answer, if you want to guess at the weight of the larger weight was for what, a 6 foot root ball? Is that what you said, Phillip?
Yeah, it's a 6-inch caliber tree. That's a 65-inch spade. So that's how wide the root ball is at the top.
Okay, so if you have guesses on what that weighs, if you were paying close enough attention, I want to see those in the comments as well. So one question we have from Michelle Meeks, she's wondering where you get your saplings from.
Okay, so that's a good question. And we don't grow those ourselves because that's really a different kind of growing. So we contract with growers all over the United States to grow different varieties of trees for us. We've worked with them for a long time, so we have nurseries that we contract with that happen to be good at different things. So we buy trees from Texas. A lot of our oaks from Texas. We buy trees from Oregon, and we buy bare root trees from them. Those are trees that are shipped to us without any soil on the roots. They've been grown out there for about 3 years. That may include varieties like red maples or hornbeam, sugar maple, serviceberry. We buy trees from Georgia. We buy trees from Alabama, right here in Central Alabama. We grow with Mount Brushing, and he grows a lot of our conifers for us. We probably buy trees from 10 or 12 different states: Tennessee, Alabama, Oregon, Texas, Georgia. Lots of different places.
All right, I think we're starting to get to a point where the cell service is affecting things as far as the audio goes. So I don't know if there's a chance of maybe backing up just a little bit or something out there. But I'm going to take it full screen for just a second and see if it improves here in a little bit. We did have another one, actually, Michelle Meeks, whose question you just answered. She says, "Go Bulldogs." So another Mississippi Stater living in the land of Alabama and Auburn. And we do have somebody who knew the answer to that question about the root ball. That's Carla Robertson Williamson. She said 6,500 pounds, and that's right. That's how much one of those root balls ways. So it's a good thing that you have spades and that you're not trying to pick that up yourself and move it around, because it would be impossible. All right, let's see, Phillip. I think that we're at a little better spot there. So I'm going to ask you another question. JC
Okay.
wants to know, what is your favorite tree?
Wow, that's a really good question, and I get asked that question a lot. And I'll be honest with you, my favorite tree is the next tree that leaves this nursery, because that means it's been sold. But I will tell you that we grow a lot of different varieties, and I really like the ones that are colorful. So like Nuttall Oak, for example, will have some of them will have red new growth in the spring. The ornamental trees like the cherries, the crepe myrtles will have pretty flowers in the spring and in the summer. So the neat thing about being out here is I get to see lots of different trees, lots of different varieties, and I get to see the seasonal interest with those.
Fantastic. All right. So now, another interesting question for you. This shows a concern that some kiddos might have about trees. What if there is a bird nest in one of the trees when you move it, or when you want to move it? Is there anything that you do about bird nests?
Is our signal all right, Mary?
Yeah, I think it's good. Can y'all hear me? Uh-oh. Y'all might have
Yeah, we're
lost the
good.
ability.
Okay.
Okay, good deal.
Now
Yeah.
we're good. So that's another good question, and we have to be aware of the wildlife around us. So we've got things to be concerned about, like bees. So bees are important to us and important to our farmers. Obviously, that's a great question about bird nest, and we have all kinds of birds out here. We have kildees that actually nest on the ground. So when we find those nests, which is easy to find, a kildee's fun to watch. When you approach their nest, they're going to try to get your attention and get you away from their nest. But we'll mark those nests and show them to our guys, to our employees, and make sure that they don't accidentally run over them. And now we have actually shipped nests to job sites before. We sent a tree. I actually took some trees to my house to plant last spring, and it had a nest of baby birds in it. And how we never knew it was there, but we found them and at my house, and we were able to nurse those baby birds along. So we try to avoid that, but it does happen sometimes, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. There's always things that happen in agriculture. You try to be as careful as you can. But all right, let's see, from Meredith Dixon. She's wondering about, is shipping the only limit on the size of the tree that you can sell, or is it ever tough for a tree to be moved after a certain age? So basically, it can trees become too old to sell them?
Yes. So that's another good question, and it's important when you're moving trees that you put the right size root ball on them. So we generally start selling trees at around 2.5, 3 inch caliper for shade trees. For evergreens, they'd be about 6 feet tall. For evergreens, we can go up to about 16 or 20 feet. We've even gone to 25 feet tall. Shade trees, we've gone up to 35 feet tall. So really big trees. So when those trees are 10-inch caliper, 9, 10 inches in diameter, then we're moving those trees with an 80 or 90-inch root ball. And you might refer back to it, Mary, if you have it, that photo of that truck spade. That if you can show that photo, that truck spade we bring in here occasionally to dig big trees, and that'd be an 8 or 9 inch caliper tree. But to answer your question directly about getting too big, yes, we can get too big. The bigger they get, we call it they outgrow our marketplace. So sometimes if we can't sell everything we need to sell out of a crop, sometimes we have to clear that field out so we can start over. And so they can get too big. But if Matt's doing a good job, if Tim's doing a good job selling trees, and we do a good job predicting what we need to have to sell and and how many we can sell, then we'll sell every tree in the field before they get too big.
Great. All right.
Hey,
So,
Mary, I want to mention something
yeah,
else too.
go right ahead.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, so you mentioned Mississippi State. Right here in Alabama, Auburn University. Both of those are land grant schools. Georgia, Texas A&M, land grant schools, universities all over the South, and even up into the North. They have, of course, they have agriculture programs, and we have great ties to those schools, especially Auburn. We do work a lot with Auburn with different research. They like to research how different chemicals affect our weed control, for example, or they research what different chemicals you need to use to control fire ants, for example. And we got a great relationship with those universities. And also right here in Alabama, we have the Alabama Cooperative Extension Service. And they can be a big help for you and for me when you're either planting a garden at home or you're trying to grow trees like we do in nursery production. So a lot of good support out there from our universities and from our extension service.
Absolutely. They're great. And they're even right now providing similar virtual field trips to this too. So if you're really loving these, you can also follow the Alabama Cooperative Extension System, Extension Service on Facebook, and you'll find even more videos like this on different days of the week. Phillip, I think we have time for one more question. So sorry, Hunter, I didn't get to yours. But Jake wants to know, what's the length of time it takes for a tree to be ready to be sold? I'm guessing that probably varies by your cultivar.
It does. Generally speaking, it takes a minimum of 3 years for us when we plant a field or crop of trees, it'll take about 3 years of growing to start getting those trees to a sellable size. And our fields are on about a 6-year rotation. So we'll start digging and selling those trees out of that field when they're about 3 years old. That's 3 years after they get here. And then we'll keep digging those trees for another few years. We like to go and dig every other tree so that we give them plenty of room to grow, so they can be pretty all the way around instead of having flat sides on them. And so we'll go through a progression of digging every other tree, then every other row, and by that 6th year, we'll dig and sell every tree out of there. Now, they get progressively bigger each year. So like the first year we sell a holly, it might be 6 feet tall. By the time we get finished with that field, that holly may be 10 or 12 feet tall.
Wow. So there's a lot of thought that has to go into what you're planting, because you've got to be thinking about what people want even 6 years from right now. So that's yeah, you said you've got to have your crystal ball, and that's for sure. Well, Phillip, thank you so very much. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it takes a lot of planning.
All right. Well, Phillip, we just thank you so very much for being with us today. Everybody, let's say thank you to Phillip for showing off his tree nursery and for hanging with us, even though there's rain already up there in Talladega County. We appreciate everything, Phillip, and Matt, the cameraman. All right. So y'all have a good day.
Thank you for joining us here.
Yes, it was great. I know that I hope that you guys learned a lot about tree and nursery production today. I know that I certainly did, because I'm just learning stuff on every single one of these. So don't forget to check the comments for the different activities that you can do that are related to tree nurseries. So of course we have everybody's favorite, the bluebird, and the coloring page that you can do. But there's also lots of other great activities. One thing on there is a make your own greenhouse. So you're probably wondering, like, hey, we just talked about, a nursery. Why are you now talking about a greenhouse? Well, that's because greenhouses, tree nurseries, sod farms, they're all part of the green industry of agriculture. So even though they're very different, they're still kind of related. So you can learn how to make your own greenhouse with a 2-liter bottle. I think that one is pretty fun. And there's lots of other things on there, ways that you can identify trees, which would be very fun to do once it stops raining and you can go back outside today. Just look around your neighborhood and see if you can figure out the different trees that are in the front yards of your neighbors. But the last link on there is to Project Learning Tree, and they have lots of fun activities that you can do at home. You can also not just at home, but like literally inside your house. They have a list of things that you can do. And this one I thought was very fun. It's called Poetry. Who doesn't love a good pun? You know, poetry. So it's about going out, exploring, finding lots of trees, and then encouraging your kids to write different poems about what they saw. So they even have a diamante poem. Any language arts people out there that can tell me whether or not I'm pronouncing that correctly, let me know. That'd be great. But they explain how to make a haiku, how to do like shape poetry so that it looks like a tree. There it is. So that one should be really fun as well. And those are from Project Learning Tree. If you click on the link that we've included there, just you'll have to scroll down a little bit and then you'll see poetry. So the other thing that I want to let you guys know is that all of the other virtual field trips that we've done are available online. So we've talked about beef cattle and honeybees and peanuts and fruit and vegetables and catfish. So all of those, you can go find those at alphafarmers.org/virtual field trips. By the time that we're done with these virtual field trips, I will understand the whole mirroring thing that happens with this camera. Right now, I just don't. But please go visit alphafarmers.org/virtual-field-trip to watch those others. And speaking of other field trips, next week, we're still going to be talking about trees. We'll be here Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Time, and we'll be talking with Cheryl Lassiter of Choctaw County. She's actually going to talk to us about those pine plantations. So, you know, if you're driving down to the beach and you see all those big pine trees all across, all along Interstate 65, those are pine plantations, and they provide us with lots of renewable products, including the timber that's used in construction, the pallets that are used in so many industries, and the toilet paper that, of course, has been very popular in grocery stores nowadays. So we'll be talking about forestry next week. We hope that you'll join us then. And thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all have a great day.